I want to talk to you all about energy today. I have a wonderful panel that I want to bring up. Please help me welcome an individual who we know lent his voice to so many different issues, did a wonderful job when he was mayor of Philadelphia. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome the former mayor of Philly, Mr. Michael Nutter. Come on, you guys got to clap a little louder. Let's get it. We've been joined by the president and CEO of the U.S. Black Chamber, Ron Busby. We are also joined by Reverend Demetrius Carolina from Shaolin, Staten Island. And of course, from the Progressive Policy Institute, my good friend, Neel Brown. Now, ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, we want to welcome everyone to this important conversation, and we hope that it's compelling to you as we go on to discuss one of the biggest issues that has been dominating up in Albany, the conversation around policy and other capitals all over the United States of America. And that's climate and energy change, energy and renewables. Specifically, how do we make utility bills? How many people here pay the utility bill? How many people here own a home? How many people here are seeing those bills go up and up and up? Then, ladies and gentlemen, today's conversation and this illustrious panel of professionals is for you. The fact of the matter is that utility bills we need to make them more and more affordable at a time when the federal government, and including that guy who sits in the White House, are attacking renewable energy. Whether it's wind or solar, the Trump administration has made it clear that it's no friend to renewable energy. There's also no question that utility bills are soaring in New York and, of course, in other states by those of you who are represented here today, but in New York State is affecting everyone from Babylon, Long Island, to the boogie down Bronx, to Buffalo, and is getting even more and more expensive. The big buzz question that everyone throws around in politics in this day and age is the word affordability. We see that, unfortunately, under the Trump administration, he told us that grocery prices were going to go down. They're only going up. Gas price, a gallon of gas is up $4, and he thinks that he's fooling us by what he's doing across seas. Governor Hochul has also been fighting a good fight to make sure that we reduce insurance costs on our automobiles. We have been making the case that utility bills need to be part of the conversation as well. And Governor Hochul, to her credit, has embraced the cause. She has held up the state budget during this budget, it's already late, and efforts to modify the 2019 climate laws that play a meaningful role in driving up the cost. In New York State, since those laws were implemented, the utility bills have gone up by 58%. With additional double-digit rates increases coming in the next 3 years. So there's every reason to take another look at those laws, and I consider myself an environmentalist. When I was in the New York State Assembly, I was a member. I sat on the NCON committee. I was part of the efforts to make sure that we had renewable energy, that we had a cleaner environment. I love Mother Nature. But when we passed some of those laws, and when some of my former colleagues passed those laws, they did it so that we could reduce emissions by 2030 in hopes that we had a renewable infrastructure, more wind turbines, more solar panels by 2030. Now, at the time, ladies and gentlemen, 2030 seems so far distant into the future. But the reality is that, number one, we don't have the infrastructure ready yet, and 2030 is right around the corner. And so with that, I just want to get right into it. I want to start with my good friend Neel Brown. Neel, who is part of the Progressive Policy Institute, and they've been studying the impact of rising utility costs and the affordability issue impacting particularly communities of color, black and brown communities. Neel, what have you found in your research on this issue? And is this an issue for people of color? Should we be concerned about this? Should we be more educated on what's going on?
Oh, absolutely. And thank you. I want to thank National Action Network for inviting me to this. I'm really honored to be here. Progressive Policy Institute early last year, published a paper where we looked at and mapped out every congressional Black Caucus district. We looked at the energy burdens in those districts. Energy burdens is the percentage of household income that goes towards paying an energy bill. Because we're looking at all these, the costs that are coming with the energy transition. And, it's going to be expensive. And we're trying to figure out who's going to pay for this. So we mapped out every congressional Black Caucus district as a tool for the CBC members in Congress to look at their district and just see where those costs fall. No surprise to anyone in this room when you look at the map of the Black populations in those districts and the map of the high energy burdens in those districts, they're often the same map. So when costs go up, when energy costs go up, they impact Black communities in those districts much more than their neighbors. And this is a conversation that wasn't being had at the time, I think. Now it seems like everybody's talking about affordability. We really wanted to raise this question of where all those costs fall. And we've just put out a paper this year in February looking at all the congressional Hispanic caucus districts and doing the same mapping exercise as a tool for policymakers to look and just see where these costs fall. So absolutely it is a problem. Every policy that's being passed right now, everything the White House is doing right now that drives up energy costs, is falling on communities of color in a disproportionate way.
We appreciate that. For instance, last year in the city of New York, Mayor Mamdani, as part of his platform, was he was going to freeze the rent. And when you talk about freezing the rent, he meant the Rent Guidelines Board. For those of you who are not from New York, the Rent Guidelines Board meets and they set rates, they set the ability for landlords to increase, or they never decrease the rent. Or they keep them constant. And a great deal, I guess what Neel is saying here, a great deal of consideration goes into energy costs. So if the landlord's energy bills go up, do we all believe that the landlord is going to come out of pocket and pay that?
No.
So who are the ones that are going to have to pay that bill? Mayor Nutter,
Yeah.
let me get to you. And I'm a big fan of yours.
Thank you.
You did great work.
Fan of yours.
When my youngest son was out in Philly, he's a graduate of Temple University while you were mayor. So
Temple in the
let's
house.
give it up for Mayor Nutter from Philly
Big
one
T.
more time.
Temple House.
But since you've been out, you go all over the place.
Yeah.
You've been working on these issues for a long time now. You just heard from Neel.
Yeah.
Are you seeing or hearing similar thoughts as you travel around the country, or is it simply New York State issue?
So thank you. Thank you, Ruben. Thank you, Reverend Sharpton and the National Action Network for the opportunity. No, this is a nationwide issue. When people talk about, in my experience, when folks this affordability conversation, which is real, notwithstanding some of the things we hear from certain occupant of the People's House in Washington, it's a real issue. And so, traditionally, when folks have talked about pocketbook issues, anywhere you go, whether it's rent or mortgage, the standard has generally been you should not spend more than upwards of 30% of your income on rent or mortgage. And that's still certainly the case, and you want to get that number down. This is not just a New York issue. It's a Philly issue. It's a Chicago issue. It's a San Francisco issue. It's a Boston issue. It's a Dallas issue. Increasingly, energy costs are ticking up, hitting that similar near 30% threshold. And so as people just try to decide to stay where they are or move to another place, they not only have to take into consideration the rent or the mortgage, but they also have to look at the energy costs, which are going up. And sometimes people are having to make a decision Well, I can afford the rent, but I can't afford the utilities of where I'm thinking about living. And so I am a part of a leadership team along with Congressman Kendrick Meek, Senator Mayor Landrieu, Congressman Tim Ryan. We're part of a leadership team of Natural Allies for a Clean Energy Future. We talk about certainly natural gas as a part of that, but also an all of the above. When people talk about an all of the above strategy, it's all of the various sources of energy, and the question is what percentage of your power comes from those different sources. The one thing we know about natural gas, whether in New York or Philly or anywhere else, in the United States of America, it's available, it's affordable, it's accessible, and it's reliable. And what I always say, and I said this, if you were here last year, you probably heard me say this, but I'll keep saying it again. There was this wonderful show on TV called It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I ain't seen that show.
Well, it's not. It's not always sunny, and it's not always windy. Everyone has an expectation when they go home tonight that they can flick on the light switch and the light will come on. You turn the knob on the range, and the gas will come on. Not dependent on whether the sun was shining today or whether it was windy or not. So I support wind and solar and other forms of energy, but the one we know and have relied on for decades, if not centuries, is natural gas. And the one thing that we have in the United States of America, and I know I'm in New York, so all praise, I'm a Philadelphian, and in Pennsylvania, we have a whole lot of natural gas that we ship out across the country and around the world. And at the end of the day, what it is about is jobs. Someone's got to maintain it. Someone has to build those pipelines. Somebody has to ship it. There are people adjacent to you, a nearby neighbor, a relative, someone who probably has a job in the energy industry powered by natural gas.
But when you say that, let me just stay right there for a minute and be a little controversial. I don't want to be too political, but I'm a politician.
It's fine.
Even though
You're recovering, I'm
even though I'm
recovering. We all recover from
I
something.
I relapse every now and then.
So do I.
So folks right now that I speak to, when they speak of energy costs going up,
Yeah.
especially in the Bronx, they blame Trump.
They what?
They blame Trump.
Right. They
But
should.
when we talk, but when we speak about natural gas,
Mm-hmm.
is he solely to blame in terms of in terms of the movement to diminish the distribution of natural gas?
Well, here's the thing. As best I can understand, if you can ever understand anything that comes out of this particular White House, they are now opponents of solar and wind.
Right.
If I learned anything in college, and I was not the best student, but somehow I got in, I got out, I do understand supply and demand. If you take away options, you increase demand in certain areas, right? You don't have to be Warren Buffett. I mean, Jimmy Buffett could figure out that if you take away options and decrease those options, the cost goes up on the other things that are left over, right? So we need to be about all of the above. I could never explain what goes on in the mind of that particular individual. I actually don't know what they're doing, but he actually does. The current president of the United States of America does have significant responsibility for erratic policies. And then, I mean, I don't want to really be political, but we can't escape what's going on in the world. You talked about gas prices, right?
Yes.
If you filled up your car, if you have that kind of car, a month ago, gas price was one price. Today it's another price. Well, if you want to start a war and try to blow up a country and 20% of the world's oil comes through that particular place, you cannot be surprised that prices went up. I mean, this is the fundamentals of supply and demand. When you decrease the supply, the demand goes up and the prices go up. It's your fault.
Thank you. Before I get to Reverend Carolina, I just want to get to Ron for 1 second. You work with a lot of business interests. Affordability and reliability, I'm sure, in the mind of men and women in business, we sort of outlined what it would mean for renters or homeowners. When you hear what Neel said and what Nutter and everything that you have experienced with the men and women in businesses, what does that mean in the world of business when we speak of energy costs rising? And who ultimately is paying that price?
Great question. Again, Ron Busby, President and CEO of the U.S. Black Chambers, Inc. We represent 175 black chambers across the country and 170 black-owned radio stations. We always have heard the story when America gets sick, black America catches pneumonia. And it's the same situation here. You have 385,000 black-owned businesses that we are representing, and just like the mayor talked about, businesses from across the country are feeling it on both ends. Mm-hmm. They're feeling it from, hey, my customer is paying higher, so he has less money, and I'm having to pay more to create my product or service, and so my margins are now shrinking on both ends. Right. This is not good for anyone. And the question we really have to ask ourselves is, why are we in this? America creates more oil than any country in the world. Right. We create more than 20% of all of the oil that the world uses. We were winning on the oil side. We were all here when we lived through the drill, baby drill in the 70s and the 80s. We even saw when they were building electric cars that this administration said, the $5,000 that you could receive if you bought an electric car, they removed that benefit. Right. They want us to continue to lose and use oil while at the same time making it more expensive and that much more difficult. Small businesses want and need reliability, but they also need intentionality. They need to see where the future is going so that they can be in front of that and catch that wave. Right now, our businesses are saying, I don't know if I can increase my price because I don't know if my customers are going to increase their wages. Am I going to make sure, and a lot of our businesses are saying, I'm going to have to be forced to either cut my prices even more or go out of business. And many of our businesses, we've seen that more than 30% of farmers are going out of business. And because of that, you're going to see countries face famine. Because I can't plant a certain seed or a certain crop because I don't know where the oil prices are going, what the transportation costs are going to be. It just makes it too uncertain for our members to continue to create successful business plans. And so we are looking for some certainty from the administration.
And can you be a little more specific? Let's dive a little bit there. When you speak of certainty, what can that look like? Because last night, I don't know if you were all here at the gala. I think the person who stole the show was Mr. Porter, and he talked about solutions. And so often what we do that frustrates me is that we always highlight the issue. We always talk about the problem. So for instance, if we're talking about New York State, just to go back and give you, when Mayor Nutter and I agree with Mayor Nutter, a lot of blame is to be put on this White House because there's been a divestment in renewable energy. So when those of us thought that at some point in the future we would have more wind turbine, we would have more accessibility to solar, he does away with that. At that time, many of my fellow Democrats, again, I don't want to be too political, but I am a Democrat. So many of my fellow Democrats said, okay, if we're going to have an uptick in the renewable infrastructure, then we want to be able to decrease the amount of other energies like natural gas. They put a timeline on it, and the timeline is 2030 of reducing natural gas. And here, at least here in the state of New York.
Mm-hmm.
If we do that, we don't have the infrastructure
Right.
to create more energy, more renewable energy. And so what would happen is many of our prices will go up, the businesses will be struggling. So if you want a solution, and sometimes government passes laws, but we don't do the follow-up analysis and we don't get the empirical data. If you want a solution, if you ask me, let's just push the clock back a little bit. Let's pause that 2030,
Right.
push it back a little bit, so that we can see, once this guy is gone, if we can have somebody in the White House with a Congress that can invest in renewable energy, and then we'll build up that infrastructure, and then we can get back on track. Because if we don't, then what we're going to do is we're going to create financial crisis for many of our folks.
Right.
So I'm sorry, I know you want to say something there, but just going back, what are some of the specific things that you think that can happen or businesses think should be happening?
We can follow some smart people. Bill Gates, he is building his own infrastructure.
He has more money than God.
But he doesn't have more money than the country.
Right.
And when we follow the lead of people that have the funds, their own funds, and they're making investments, then should give the rest of us the idea that, you know what, if that's the way investment dollars are going, then that's the way I need to be going. We can look at Facebook. Facebook is their building, because all of these companies are understanding that these data centers are really creating and taking a lot of energy. And how are we going to continue to do that? And at the same time, we don't have any infrastructure, any plan to be able to keep up with the oil and the gas that we need now.
So they take energy from our grid. And what we're saying is create your own energy.
Yep.
So that this way we can have our own power. Another, you want to chime in?
Yeah, I think ultimately the real question here is, what is the energy policy of the United States of America? Answer, we don't have one. Like, do whatever you want, right?
Touché.
Everybody's running around all over the place. I mean, that can't be a plan, right? I mean, that's just not realistic. So, that's, and what I refer to as, there's a whipsaw kind of effect. So-and-so gets elected, they want to do X. Next one gets elected, they want to do Y. I mean, you don't run your house like that. Nobody lives in 2 and 4 or 6 year blocks of time. We're just trying to live. And so we don't have a realistic, serious, long-term energy policy in the United States of America, while every American needs energy to do something. Cook a meal, turn the TV on, making sure your computer fires up, kids can do their homework, whatever the case may be. It's haphazard, chaotic, and all over the place. And when you talk to Ron and people that he represents, the one thing that business needs is certainty. Mm-hmm. The one thing that citizens need is certainty. Mm-hmm. There's no certainty. Every day is chaos and confusion. Nobody can live like that. There's no plan in the United States of America about energy. At the same time, we have all these resources. You can do wind, you can do solar, you can do nuclear, you can do natural gas. Which we have so much, we export it to other countries and help them shut down coal plants, which is why emissions have been going down in the United States and around the world, because we have these resources. What we don't have is leadership and a plan and focus to get stuff done.
Thank you. Let me get to you, Rev. One of the things as a co-chair of Natural Allies, we've been going around and meeting with Baptist ministers, different organizations. My father, for those of you in New York, you know there's a man who walks around with a cowboy hat. Ruben Diaz is also the president of the New York Hispanic Clergy Organization, and we've had multiple meetings with his organization and the Latino ministers here in the city of New York. What are your parishioners feeling? What are they thinking? What are you getting around this issue?
Again, Ruben, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I want to certainly thank Reverend Sharpton and NAN for this great opportunity. And I also want to take a moment to say thank you for including houses of worship, faith community, centered around this important topic of affordability. Let's thank them for including houses of worship. It is so important because when we talk about solutions and we talk about connectivity, we know there is an energy problem. And we know that while we have natural gas, and all of us are proponents toward various sources of energy, there must be some connectivity to getting to the natural energy component of this. While natural gas is available, it is clean. In order to get to the point on which we can utilize other sources of energy, we have to build that infrastructure. I pause to say that because as a leader in a faith community, many people, how many out there go to somebody's house of worship? Okay, good. I'm speaking to the right. All right. I'm going to preach to the choir right now. You know you do not move a large group of persons from A to B without educating them. So I don't only come as a pastor of a church in Staten Island, of all places, in New York. I'm also... Shaolin. I'm also... I love it. Also a former ED of the largest predominantly black and brown nonprofit in the most conservative of the 5 boroughs, as well as a consultant to help build and bolster capacity for nonprofit work. I said all that to say, in order to actually meet the demand and the need, we have to have, as was said earlier, a plan. I hear on a regular basis from the 14 different community groups and organizations that we represent that prices are going up and resources are going down. And in the wonderful city of New York, everyone knows the rent is too blank high. I'll say that again. It's too high. So
too damn high.
Yeah, thank you. You can say that. I can't say that. Thank you.
You can say that.
In order to meet the need, to bridge the gap, we can't do church as usual. I said we can't do church as usual. Church is the ethos, if you will. It is the anchor of our community. It has always been. Since Reconstruction, most persons who were in Congress were preachers, were ministers. In terms of education, our HBCUs were led by preachers, by ministers. I can go on and on because it is still the hub of our community. And so even when we send kids to college, what do? We get together, we collectively come together, and we give them scholarships, not only to get them in, to make sure they get through. And so if we're going to continue to build that type of bridge, we've got to understand that churches or houses of worship have got to be center in terms of this conversation about affordability and about energy. I'm going to conclude by saying this. One of the things that we're working on now at the First Central Church is an economic development corporation. We're looking at educating people in terms of economics, but we're also looking at building a resiliency project. What do I mean by that? A project that speaks to these real issues, trying to be proactive in terms of both affordability and the economy or ecological realities of our environment. Listen, we just had the first major snowfall in New York City in 7 years. You think the world was coming to an end, right? Beyond the snowfall, this summer is going to be pretty hot. We have to realize that climate is not going to go back to what it was. And the conversations about this have to take place not only in our educational institutions, but in our churches. So we're trying to build, most churches may not have the economics that they once had, but they have land. And if you have land, you can develop your land. And what we're trying to do is do an affordable project that will include a storage unit so that we can harness this energy and use it in a meaningful way down the road so that when these various alternative energy sources come, we will be prepared to fuel ministry for years and years and years to come.
Ron, could it be that the business community can have some synergy with the faith-based community and maybe do some of this?
Yeah, I think that is a wonderful idea and a wonderful concept. If you live in Florida and you got beach property, I hate to tell you, it's gone. Black folks should be looking at how do we create guards to keep those homes from being flooded. If you live in Texas, for the first time, Texas is now starting to see earthquakes. Never happened before. If you're a business owner, you need to be thinking about how do I create a business that are going to help those businesses go through some of those issues. We have to be thinking about the businesses of the future, and what we're talking about is an administration that is looking at the past versus looking at the future. And the one thing that we don't ever get a second chance at, and that is time. You never get that back, and we are spending so much time trying to save an industry that is ultimately already ours and is changing every day, and we're not changing with it, which means that there are going to be other countries that are going to surpass us, and we are once again going to be fighting to try to catch up and keep in play. And so I would love to work with the churches to continue to grow the black wealth and black business across the country to save our communities as well as our businesses where we live and work and worship.
Neel, let me get to you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Yep. Mayor Nutter talked about the lack of leadership. And if you look at across the river, Governor Sherrill, Nikki Sherrill, she ran on energy, did pretty good on the polls. The Progressive Policy Institute, are you polling this issue, or have you polled this issue? I mean, is it good politics to start talking about energy and focusing on that?
I mean, it is absolutely the right thing to be talking about. And it touches every American, period. I mean, everybody pays an energy bill of some sort. So yes, and it is absolutely top of everybody's list still. Affordability and energy is one of those bills that you can't neglect to pay. So if I can, I would talk a little bit about New York, what we're looking at here, and then kind of how that looks around the country. I think I've got a couple of slides that they have. Just one of the things that we're doing at PPI is looking at all the states that passed climate goals back in
Do we have
like
some
20
slides? Was there a slide there or two?
If
that
not,
we
I
could
can
put
talk
up?
through it. But in 2020-ish, a lot of states passed, these climate goals, and there we go. Wanted to look at what New York looks like, and then we can talk about how this looks in other states. New York has, if you see New York all the way at the bottom of this list, most efficient place to live per capita. I mean, beating everybody in the country for carbon emissions. That's because people take public transportation. It's a more efficient place to live because of density. So New York is killing it on low emissions per person. All right, the next slide there. What we're looking at, though, is the prices are already high. They're higher than everywhere else in the country. You look at how much higher they are historically. This is not something that's just happened. So you pay higher prices per unit, but you don't spend as much, you don't use as much energy. And then the next slide. Well, I think the next slide shows something very similar here. So this is residential prices here. And then the last slide, I will show you the scope of what we're talking about here. When we're looking at meeting those climate goals with hitting the numbers that were set in New York for wind, you can go to the next slide, wind and solar. You see those little slivers at the top, that's the wind and solar. Luckily here in New York, there's quite a bit of hydro, quite a bit of nuclear, and then you look at 62% is natural gas. In this short window we're looking at in the next few years, we're supposed to get those two little slivers at the top to displace that 62 at the bottom.
Say that again.
Those, the 3 and that 6 there at the top. The goal is to get rid of the 62% at the bottom with those 2. That's the kind of scope we're talking about. That's going to be incredibly expensive. You have a clean source of firm power, which means it doesn't go up and down depending on the weather and the sunshine, that can supply industry and can supply households with reliable energy. You're not going to get brownouts and blackouts with that solid energy, the nuclear and the gas there. So until we have battery storage and enough generation, it's going to be an incredibly expensive thing. And like I talked about before, where that expense falls in New York is on the Black communities, Hispanic communities, and in a disproportionate way. It's not those communities' responsibility to pay for global climate change. You know, what we're asking of these communities is too much to bring those 2 little slivers down to equal that 62 at the bottom there. And we're finding this in a lot of states. Governor Hochul here, I think, has recognized this rightly, has revisited what to do with these climate goals to make sure it is affordable while reducing emissions. And a lot of states around the country are grappling with the same things. They've got hard numbers they're supposed to hit. They've got to hit, 30% of wind energy, and they're at probably worse than New York. Compounding that, we have an administration that's killing the projects that are going to build more clean energy. They're making it harder. They're creating friction and everything but building coal plants. Nobody wants to build coal plants. They're not efficient. They're worse than the new modern combined cycle natural gas generation is cleaner. It's more efficient. Nobody wants to build these. But again, it's like you can figure out the worst things to do and try to implement them. Drive up gas prices at the pump, drive up energy prices at home, reduce the ability to build clean energy and make it affordable. This administration is going in the wrong direction, but as hopefully some of the Democratic leadership in a lot of these states will recognize what a pragmatic path is forward, rather than taking the other side of that and going too far and trying to make those 2 tiny slivers carry too much of the load and put the burden further on the communities of color.
Speaking of reliability and Governor Hochul and showing leadership, Mayor, I want to address reliability. Governor Hochul has taken an important step here in New York by the approach of the Nessie pipeline to bring more natural gas into New York State. It's the first major pipeline approved in New York in more than a decade, and it should help residential consumers by increasing the supply of cheaper natural gas coming into the city and Long Island. Any thoughts on that? And are there other governors, in your travels, are there other folks doing that, being that we're not getting any assistance from, Washington, D.C.?
Well, I think the larger issue is about permitting reform. Nobody likes their street torn up. Everybody wants the things that they want. Sometimes people just want them kind of magically. I want that thing, but don't disrupt my street, or don't create dust or dirt, or increase my travel times, or all those things. So I mean, sometimes those are kind of in conflict with each other. I'd love the rain to come, but man, it's that mud got in my house. But I like my flowers to grow. I mean, you get the one, you get the other, right? So I think the larger issue is accessibility. Can people connect to a network and pipeline network that allows them to have natural gas? And I'm not speaking specifically of New York. I live in Philly. Please don't boo. But I enjoy myself in New York. And I'm not trying to be immersed in New York politics, but you in different places you get laws and regulations, preemption, et cetera, that prevents that last mile of pipe to access people who want it. And what we're trying to talk about is accessibility. If people want to be able to connect, if you want a accessible, reliable, affordable, always going to be their source, then people should be able to connect to a natural gas line near their home and have that reliability. And so, I mean, look, I know everywhere, politics takes shape in many forms, and I'm not trying to be in a fight with anybody, but it really is about accessibility of the one source that will always be there for you. When you go home tonight, if you're connected to natural gas, I can assure you, when you hit the light switch, lights are going to come on. You turn the knob, you're going to cook your meal, and you don't have to worry about it. And everyone deserves the opportunity to have safe, affordable, reliable energy source for whatever it is that you want to do. This is America.
Yeah, thank you for that. Early on, we had Governor Wes Moore, who I thought did a fantastic job in his fireside chat with the Rev, and he spoke about his mom, and he said that his mom paid $100 and something last year with her bills, and this year was like $500, and that's significant. That's 200-300 times more an increase. When I speak to my mom about this issue, instead of her talking about whether or not her price is going up, she basically just doesn't want to cook rice and beans in an electric stove.
I got the answer for that.
Anybody here like cooking with a natural gas stove? Anybody want to give that up for an electric stove?
I need a flame. I need
Does
a
it
flame.
does it taste different? Does the cooking taste different?
Need a flame.
Rev, when you're educating your parishioners and when you're going around, and you speak of natural gas, what are the sentiments there? Is there, when you have to sort of reconcile protecting the environment and still supporting renewable energy, but also having this all of the above approach, which includes reliability in natural gas. What happens once you have that conversation with some of your parishioners?
Ruben, people can relate to the natural gas because most of us grew up eating food that was cooked on natural gas. So we can relate to that. We can also relate to the need for change. So we can relate that there needs to be a bridge between the two. I will say this, everyone here, all of these distinguished and intelligent and handsome fellas once had hair.
Attack of the bald heads.
Got some. Ain't much.
However,
One time.
and because of that, however, we've had to adopt and change some things. That's true. We still look good, but we had to change some things. I think you can relate to that. Natural gas is a consistent. It is good. It does help. But in the process, we know because of the climatic realities around us, change needs to occur. That change is not going to occur as quickly as the receding hairline on some of these guys. Therefore, we have to build a bridge to make it connect. Does that work for you? All right.
Thank you. Anybody want to add on to that, Ron?
Yeah, no, I don't want to add on to that.
Not to the bald heads. No, we're going to leave that alone.
I still got a few strands. I don't think we as Americans, especially black people, we haven't even seen the true impact. Like the oil that's leaving, that's still coming, it has already come through the straits. Yeah. This was oil that was already on its way here.
Yep.
We have not even felt the impacts of what is getting ready to happen. So we sit here very naive thinking, well, that's all right. It's a war going on, and, I'm paying a few dollars or a few cents more on my gallon of gas, or my electricity bill might have gone up. Listen to what they're saying. It is getting ready to happen. There's no ifs about this. This is inevitable. Prices are going up on your gas at home, and your electric bill. Now, the question is, what are we going to be doing about it now? And it starts with understanding that it's coming. It ain't here yet, ma'am. It's coming.
More to come.
It's more to come.
More to come. More to come.
More to come.
More to come.
And so we are saying,
Yeah.
we've got to have conversations to tell people, if it is nothing else but go make sure you fill up your tank this week, because next week is going to get more expensive.
Right.
If that means that we need to start talking about planning with my father used to tell me, turn the heater off. I don't care what time it is. After 6 o'clock, when the lights go off, the heat goes off. Put some more clothes on. We've got to start having those conversations of families, because our grandparents and parents aren't going to be as educated as we are. And all they are going to see is they're going to have their temperature at the same amount that they are used to,
Right.
but when that bill comes, they're going to be calling you to say, I need some help to pay my bill. Fees.
Wait. Why don't, let him finish, and we'll have a couple of minutes, and I'll take a couple of questions from the audience.
So
Go ahead,
I
Ron.
guess what I'm trying to say is, one, we can no longer think that this is happening that it's not happening. It is happening.
Real time.
Real conversations, and we need to be going back as the educated voices from our community saying, it is real. You may not have seen the impact today or this week, but it is coming. And a lot of black people, we keep our head in the sand until it's too late. We don't have the opportunity to do that in this environment because we don't have an administration that is looking out for its citizens. We have an administration that's saying, I'm rich. I don't care how much my electricity bill is, I can afford it. We can't. And so we can no longer depend upon our elected officials to do right by us. And so as citizens, it's our responsibility to tell the folk around us
Right.
what and how to make sure that we're combating this.
Okay, we have, I appreciate that. We have a couple of minutes here before they have to start the next panel or the next conversation. I'll take a couple of questions. Please make them short. We'll start with the young lady here, and then we'll go.
I don't have an answer for
Right here in the front, ma'am. There's a microphone.
Oh, thank you. I'm Deborah Bond. I'm from Pennsylvania. We've been, for a couple of years now, watching a pipeline, and I think you mentioned that pipeline.
I mentioned the one here in New York.
Okay, so the pipeline is coming from Canada, and it's coming down, and it's going through Pennsylvania. And they also ask us about our electric. We have a choice of choosing a natural gas or electric, but they're telling us that's going to cost more, so a lot of us don't choose it.
What's going to cost more, the natural gas?
The natural gas, and there's another type of clean electric. I'm sorry. There's clean electric and there's natural gas.
Mm-hmm.
They cost more.
Mayor?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not specifically familiar with where you are in Pennsylvania, but I think what I would suggest to you is that many of the companies and the plants that produce electricity are often run by natural gas. And again, I'm not asking you, I don't know where you are in Pennsylvania, but I would check on that. People say a lot of things. They may or may not necessarily have all their facts, and then they put that information out there. What the energy companies are focused on is obviously they have to build the infrastructure to make these things happen. That costs money. The return is that you get a safe, reliable source of energy with generally stable prices, But, you know, the upfront costs certainly have to be paid if you're building new infrastructure. But, I mean, I'd be glad to talk to you about the particulars because I don't know where you are. Pennsylvania is, you know, obviously a pretty big state, a lot of different things going on. But I'm generally familiar with the pipeline that you're talking about.
And that's
But we can catch up.
That's a wonderful question. This is what we mean
Yeah.
by we have to educate ourselves.
Yep.
Because once you get that answer, you can make a better decision for you and your family.
Right.
Next question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Jackie Cody. I appreciate all you gentlemen. Thank you, Honorable Diaz, for leading this discussion and making sure I come and attend. Con Ed, National Grid, I'm here in New York. They're ripping us off. They're scamming. There are fees on top of the tax. They tax the fees, and they put fees on the taxes they tax your fees with. And if it wasn't for all of that hoopla, my bill literally would be like around $100. But by the time I look at it, and they add all these fees and all these delivery fees, and then they tax the delivery fee, and all of this, now it's almost $300 a month because of the fees. What are we doing to stop these monopolizing companies, I'm gonna keep it clean and nice, companies from ripping us off? We need to look into that. Yeah. And New Jersey's governor, Mikey Sherrill, she ran on that, making sure that there's a cap or something. We need to do something about this now. And a hint, Democrats, that could be one of your main platforms, is to say, what are we going to do to make your life stable? Period. Thank you.
Thank you. And give a round of applause for that one. I think outside of here, we have to make people feel us in this election year. Every single one of the 213 legislators up in Albany are running for re-election this year. Many of them are my friends. Many of them I love and respect. I know they're doing a good job. The governor's running for re-election this year. She was here with us last night. But this is one of those things that we can do now. They are the powers that be. And they have hearings, and they could pass legislation. And maybe we have to give them the fortitude also, because they're dealing with so many different issues, and they're being pulled and tugged in so many different ways. Again, this conversation, look at this room. This room is not as full as, other conversations were. But I promise you, Ron and Mayor Nutter and Rev and Neel, when they telling you that this is happening now and more is to come, we need to wake up on this. We need to figure out whether or not clean energy is more expensive than natural gas. We need to see what is it that we can do. Yeah. Climate change is real, but so is people being hungry and not being able to pay the rent because of energy costs. That's real, and that's immediate as well. So we have to be able to find a balance and not necessarily be so tied to one side or the other, as well as when we can make sure that companies like Con Edison is charging us for what it is it actually delivering and not anything. And it's not just Con Ed. The phone companies do the same thing, and so on and so forth. AT&T, Verizon, I mean, there are fees for everything, right? So those are some of the things. You want to chime in on that, Rev?
As mentioned earlier, politicians will come to your houses of worship when they're running for election. How many times do you see them after they've gotten into office? So again, this is a phenomenal opportunity to come together with an agenda, because many hands make light work. When we go to these folks about energy, about affordability, we can go to them with something in hand, with list of names and churches and synagogues and mosques, where we've come together as a group, because numbers matter. Listen, we are talking about the fact that natural gas is the cheapest However, we want to get to the point where we can have multiple sources of renewable energy to save our planet. In the interim, we have to build that bridge. So real solutions are just this. Now that I have gotten this, I'm going to leave here with something in mind. I'm going to talk to my pastors, the local clergy, and then have them come as a group to our electeds and say, don't just come to me when you're trying to get in office.
Yeah.
Give me these assurances as you're running so that we can have a report card and check off the report card whether you get an A or an F.
Thank you. I'm going to have to take one last question. We're running out of time here. Please make it quick so that we can have some final thoughts.
Okay, I just thought of this just like the last 2 minutes. I'm wondering if you guys could ever make a proposal to Congress to actually create anybody coming into politics, if they take a relationship IQ test.
I don't think we would have many. Take an IQ test.
IQ test.
Right now, almost nobody would pass, but I mean, eventually we could actually grow up and have it happen. But
There would be a lot of empty seats.
yeah, I know. That's my point. Okay.
There'd be a lot of empty seats.
Point well taken. Ma'am, very quickly, please.
Lord have
We have less than 5 minutes.
Thank you. Buenas noches, señor. ¿Cómo estás? I have to say thank you so much, Ruben. You know I love you. I love your dad, the panel, the question. Not so much a question, but just information. If you look at your national grid bill, because I sat down and went, as Dr. Jackie Cody mentioned about the fees, it has an MTA tax on there. And I said, what's the MTA? When I called, do you know that they charge you at the time, I think it was like 10 cents. And they said that was for the bridges and tunnels to build that. I said, well, my gas is taking bridges and tunnel now, but they slipped that on your national grid bill. So that needs to be addressed because they don't let us know. And I don't care. You take 10 cents from everyone all around, that adds up. So why are you charging me MTA, bridges and tunnel, on my national grid bill?
Yeah, there you go. Neel, you want to begin with some final thoughts here?
Sure. I think from a political perspective, kind of moving forward and what to ask for, looking at politicians, both Republicans and Democrats, if they're telling you they want to get rid of energy right now of any sort, there's a problem. So if you've got Republicans trying to get rid of wind and solar, that's clearly a problem. Raising oil right now through the war in Iran, a problem. Democrats also have issues. I mean, getting rid of the energy we need right now, and through natural gas, dismantling that infrastructure, not looking to build it out quickly, is also causing problems. We need more supply right now. That's the only thing that's going to at least stabilize prices, is having reliable and affordable energy like that. So when you're taking those demands, you can look at both sides. There's a middle ground, there's a pragmatic path forward, and that's one we need to take that makes energy affordable for everybody.
Thank you.
Yep.
Rev.
Very quickly, an educated consumer is the best customer. Educate yourself.
There you go.
Get the information, and once you have it, you can empower yourselves to effectuate meaningful change, not as an individual, but as a collective group. We can do it. We've done it before. We can do it again.
Thank you, Rev. I'm going to skip you, Mayor, go to Ron.
It's an election year all the time.
Yes.
The last 12 years, we have heard nothing but talk about making America great again. And as the president of the U.S. Black Chambers, I say I want America to be great as well. But hold on, because the only way there will be a great America is when there's a great Black America.
Thank you. We got to wrap it up.
Take it.
We got to. No.
No, I run a nonprofit.
I'm a Puerto Rican kid from the Boogie Down Bronx.
Yeah.
I said, I'm a Puerto Rican kid from the Boogie Down Bronx. There's no dividends here. Exactly. And I'm gonna get to that, but let me get to the mayor here. Thank you for your thoughts, man.
I think the thing I want to communicate is it goes to, adds on to the point of what the Reverend said. I think many, and much like my friend here, I mean, I'm technically a recovering elected official, but I've seen some things. I think on the energy issue, most elected officials are not anticipating that anybody in this audience is ever going to raise a conversation
that's the point.
about energy.
Thank you.
You talk about housing, you talk about maybe public housing, talk about crime, talk about education, a whole host of things. They, whoever your they is, are not ever expecting that anybody in this audience, in this city, in my city, Philly, and a bunch of other cities across the country are ever going to raise the issue of energy, affordability, accessibility, reliability.
Well said.
Let's get in the game. Let's talk about the issues that really do matter at people's dinner table on a regular basis. Please, please, please get that information, educate yourselves, and raise new issues to the people who got elected wherever they got elected.
We appreciate it. I want to thank the panel here. I want to thank you all for listening to us. And I'll just end with this. If you want to be honest with yourself, just to piggyback off of what the mayor said, you came to this convention, and how many people thought that when you were going to discuss issues at this convention or with these panels that energy was going to be that? Exactly. So for me, as co-chair of Natural Allies in the state of New York, my job is just to bring it up so that now when you walk out, among all of the other issues, it doesn't diminish all the other issues that we have taken on all day today, that we will tomorrow. All I'm saying is we as black and brown communities and communities that are financially challenged, whether in New York State or in any other municipality or any other state of the nation, need to start thinking, educating ourselves, asking the question, and challenging our leaders to make sound energy policy. In the state of New York, what we can do right now, we can support Governor Hochul. Governor Hochul has an all-of-the-above approach. Governor Hochul wants to put a pause and just put back the 2030 deadline so that we can make sure that we have reliable natural gas here in the state of New York so that at least we can put a stop to the bleeding that is going to come if we don't. We just wanted you to think about that. We thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of the evening and enjoy the rest of the convention. Thank you all.
Thank you.
In its place, we are honored to host a special fireside chat featuring John Hope Bryant and Reverend Al Sharpton at 6:30 p.m. This will be a powerful and timely conversation you will not want to miss. We look forward to having you join us. Thank you for your cooperation.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay seated as the next panel will begin shortly. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen.
Every year, every kid turn them more time. We were out there, name a cold night, holding candles, trying to hold light. From the church steps to the court.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay seated as the next session will begin shortly with Reverend Al Sharpton and John Hope Bryant.